What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show Beyond the Claim. I am Vince Perri, and today we have a very special guest. But before I tell you about the guest, make sure that you like, subscribe, and check out the description because we've got some really good information, especially about our guest. Our guest is Robert Syfert today, and he is the author of Kingdom Entrepreneur, founder of the You Foundation, Who Am I Am You, and he's a serial entrepreneur. And today we go deep. Not only do we start with the actual selling, exiting, building of some massive companies and how he was able to get out of it, but also in the overall mental entrepreneurial journey that one goes through, the awakening experiences that we go through, and the mental challenges that we have throughout our lives. This one's pretty deep, guys. I think you're going to like it. I want you to make sure that you watch it until the end because, quite frankly, I think you're going to be moved by it, and you're probably going to be thinking and have a little bit of awakening while you're watching it, and you could probably relate. So hope you enjoy the show. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share with as many people as you can. And also on Spotify and iTunes, give us a follow button so that we can just keep those numbers going up. Thank you, guys. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Very excited to have you here in Tampa, Florida at the beautiful Transcend Studio. My buddy's here. And today we have a very special guest. We've got Robert Syfert. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Yes, I got it right. Robert, basically, he's written a book, and found him on social media, is also part of my coaching group. And I'm very excited because the guy knows about business. The guy knows about entrepreneurship. The guy knows about rock bottom too and getting out of it and really being able to thrive in life. So I think this conversation is going to be great. Robert, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Robert, before we get all in, I'd really like to start with the fact that you've actually exited a business, but tell me a little bit about yourself first.
Yeah, so I mean, simple version, I'm a child of God. I'm a father. I'm a husband. Been married more than once. I have a couple boys. Radically different ages, as we were discussing a minute ago. And I love being an entrepreneur. So grew up in the parents have been married forever, got to go get a good grades, good job, retire, but it just never was my thing. So
Right.
Risk and reward have been my life.
It's weird, though, because I was reading something the other day that talked about they raised their, what book was that I was reading? I don't know. They were like, so they're in a training program or whatever, and they ask, it's a book about entrepreneurial kids written by the guy who wrote, I'll find it on my phone, but this guy was on a podcast recently with Chris Williamson.
Okay.
And entrepreneur too. He scaled like, I don't know how many companies. And anyway, he wrote a book about basically creating entrepreneurs, having your kids become entrepreneurs. And the way they started the book was they raised their hands of all these entrepreneurs and how many of them had entrepreneurial parents. And I was actually surprised that the majority of them raised their hands. So you did not come up with entrepreneurial parents whatsoever.
No.
But you still ended up one.
Yeah. I mean, my mom was in management, but that's not right. She worked for a corporation, big health systems, and grew through that process, but that's like more corporate structure.
Yeah.
And the same with my dad. He worked in a manufacturing facility, then he went into over-the-road truck driving, like no entrepreneurial component there.
What do you think it was? What do you think it is?
I just think it's an internal drive, and I think everyone is, while I'm certain where you grew up and how you grew up has a lot to play into what's going to happen in your life, I just think that there's something inherently inside all of us that is there, and that at some point you're going to wake it up and something's going to trigger it. And I think that was it for me, just not wanting that, right? I think that I've seen before, and I don't know if it was in a book or a place that said, you could have two children who both were raised by this alcoholic drunk father, right? And one turns out to be this wildly successful person, and the other one turns out to be another drunk alcoholic and deadbeat for life, basically. And asking them both, well, what was different for you? You had the exact same childhood. One just says, I saw that and never wanted to be that. And the other says, I saw that and I couldn't overcome any of that. And I think that's true in this. The rest of my family's not entrepreneur driven. I have two younger sisters. They both have worked forever, and I doubt that they'll ever try to go and do something outside of getting their earned paycheck for what they do.
It's painful.
It is.
My dad was an entrepreneur. He was and he wasn't, but he never worked for anybody. Everything he had to just get out there, hustle, sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Started a lot of businesses as well. While my mom was the consistent paycheck, guidance counselor, elementary school, unfortunately having to work 2 jobs and 3 jobs at a time sometimes when my dad wasn't making money. So because of my upbringing, I basically kind of orchestrated to live my life the exact same way that I grew up. So my wife is a pharmacist. Thank God, super successful, but consistent paycheck, works for a company and gets the money, you know, consistently every 2 weeks, no matter what, with small raises here and there. While I've told her from the beginning, I said, you're my investment because I'm going to have a lot of money one day. And there's maybe a day that comes right after that where I have no money. So I need the consistency to back me up.
Yeah, totally. I think part of it too for me was I worked for other people, but I think I got hooked when I took my first commission-only sales role. And that was it. It was like, why would I do that when this makes way more sense? I get paid for what my value is versus what someone says I did for the hour.
It never made any sense to me the other way around.
No.
Like, wait, so if I work, because I worked for State Farm Insurance for a couple of years.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait, so if I work harder, I make the same. And if I work less, I make the same. Like, to me, that never computated in my head like that. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to get the same raise that everyone else gets.
Yeah, that doesn't add up for me.
It doesn't add up for me. So tell me about the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey and the businesses that you were able to start, and you ultimately succeeded in exiting those companies, right? Like actually selling them?
Yeah, I've sold a couple.
Okay.
I've failed a lot more than the ones that I've sold, which any real entrepreneur knows. There's that side of the story for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So there were lots of those like iterations of, I call them lessons. They were lessons along the way to teach me what I needed to learn. My first successful sale, not necessarily my best one, but was on accident. And it really was, I started building a real estate company, and I got into what's called turnkey, which is essentially has a property management component. And we're renovating houses, then we're managing them and selling them as managed properties. And one of the property management companies that I started was not a good partnership. So that sale, I don't really constitute that as it is a sale technically. I sold the company to the partner, walked away and started a brand new one the very next day.
So there was no non-compete clause.
Yeah, it was, well, there was some legal language to, no, there was none of that. And we didn't have any of that in place. It was more of a, hey, I'm not going to be party to any lawsuits that come your way for decisions you've made kind of situation.
I gotcha.
So
Loud
you're going to
and
sign
clear.
all of this, and here's our deal and structure, and I'm going over here and doing this. And you can keep all of that. And it built a pretty massive company. We had like 500-600 doors, not massive, but 500-600 doors under management at the time. So
That's pretty big. We have just last week I was here with Jeremy Clodder, good friend of mine, very successful.
Yeah, I know Jeremy.
Yeah,
I helped him start his property management company.
Cool. Well, I think he's got like 300 plus or something like that, and I think that's fairly large. So you did
It
a pretty
is.
good job.
Once you break 200, I would say you have a sustainable property management business. Underneath that is brutal.
Got it.
And that's what led me to selling my second one. Well under 100 doors. I started to go into the software world. Met Dan. Really wanted to expand down the software of what was opening for me. So that sale was more of a necessity of, hey, I need to sell this thing so that it doesn't take away focus on the ability to go grow this thing, because this I can see the potential in way more than this now. And then kind of the real estate business kind of folded under the same path. The software was starting to grow. Things were starting to go well. I couldn't run this other business. I couldn't continue to focus on growing that because this thing definitely was, you got to go to events, you got to go on stages, you got to do all this stuff, because now it's opening up a whole new world I didn't understand fully at the time. Should have, right? It's all basic stuff, but you just don't know what you don't know. So that business turned into I was grooming someone else and gave him interest in the company. And then we just sat down one day and had a conversation of what do you really want from me in growing this versus what I'm willing to give. And it was very clear where he was going. I didn't want to go. But I wanted his path to go where it needed to go. I said, I think the best thing right now is for you to buy out my interest. And we'll structure a deal where you could just have it, like for basically very, very less than what it's worth. I just want to give it to you for what I have into it. And you can take it all, because then you can take it on whatever direction you want. And I think I feel led inside to let that happen for you. And I feel that that's the path you need to be on.
Nice.
It worked out well. He ended up buying a building, helped him orchestrate that here in Tampa, actually. and then focused all of my energy on the software business, which was the last exit I've had. That one was very interesting. That one had lots of mergers and acquisitions along the way. It had a nice long legal battle on some of those pitfalls that I've had in life to find out who owns what, because we totally don't agree, and then ending with that and saying, okay, I don't want to scale this anymore. So now I just want to exit to someone that will. So I still own percentage in that company, so I didn't do a full exit. I did more of a strategic exit.
Okay.
I sold to a guy who does nothing but buy companies to scale, grow them, and exit them in massive portfolios. So that was maybe last year. That was the last exit, but it was strategic in the sense that he's going to scale it now. I'm not responsible for that. It allows me to focus on what I want to focus on.
Tell me about focus, because that's something that I've been struggling with myself lately, that I've finally figured it out, though, I think, and how important it is to really focus.
It is.
Because as entrepreneurs, we're thinking about so many different, like the ideas come in sometimes at an annoying, alarming rate.
Yes.
And you cannot act on all the ideas.
No.
And if you're going to focus on one thing, what I have finally gotten used to is that if you do have multiple businesses that you're running at the same time and you really want to focus on one, it's not just about selling one or getting rid of one, but it's about saying no to a lot of things in the one so that you could focus on the other.
Yes.
Two things that I see on social media all the time, two things that I see when I talk to, multiple, millionaire, entrepreneurs and stuff like that. It's the focusing on one thing at a time and saying no. Like those two common things I see all of the time from these super uber successful people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too. I think focus is a massive thing.
It's hard.
And I think it is. And it is because there is so much distraction, not only in our own entrepreneur-driven minds to have 100 ideas today that I would love for all to go into fruition and how they all can work out, just getting clear to the reality that that's not going to happen. And the only way that any of those really could get to the place that they belong is with focus. It's in everything in life, right? The lessons I'm learning more now are even in the simple, like, well, how is when you go to the gym very effective in you being able to build the muscle you're looking to or burn the fat that you want to? Well, focus on the quality of every repetition, focus on every fork that goes into your mouth, right? It requires that focus. If you're not, you can do things that'll throw your whole plan off simply because you've allowed a distraction to get in the way. And yeah, I would agree. The selling the businesses for focus is my understanding at that time made sense. In hindsight, that wouldn't have been what I would do today.
Really?
No. And it's interesting.
Which business? The software business?
All of them. Other than the property management. The property management, I have no interest in going back into property management.
That was just a bad relationship.
Yeah, that was just that just doesn't make sense for me anymore.
Yeah.
I would rather outsource that. But an interesting turn of events, all those things that I sold, full circle back to where I'm at now, are exactly what I'm building. Except now I know how all of them are connected so that they can be focused together. Before, it didn't feel like focus, and so it felt like, oh, this is a distraction. And I think you said something key there. This distraction, let me get rid of it so that I can focus all my energy on this. In hindsight, with where I'm at now, it would have been, no, let me dial this down because I can't build all the things here so that I can focus my energies here to build this thing up more, because this thing built up more supports this thing being able to rise easier.
So maybe like you bailed too soon in a way, like you sold too soon. That's all.
Because I've relaunched a real estate business similar to the one I had before that I sold to the friend. The difference is I let it go because I knew I needed to focus on the software. The software is a foundational key piece, and it radically reformed the way that business ran. However, rather than let it go, I could have just kept it like idle or in maintenance mode, so to speak, right? Like no pure focus on growing it or scaling it, but allowing it to run while this thing got perfected, duplicated everywhere, worked out all the kinks, and then this thing is the foundation that would allow this to scale so much easier, which is what I'm doing now. So now with the small percentage I own in the software company, we're still redeveloping things that have been built over almost a decade now.
I think I understand what you're saying. So what you're saying is you were getting into the software space and you said, no to the property management company, all in on the software, where you think it would have been better that because the two sort of ran hand in hand, it would have been wiser to keep scaling the property management firm while slowly growing the software? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, the real estate, well, the opposite, the real estate business, not the property management,
Okay.
but similarity, right? They're both real estate, but the real estate buying and selling of real estate component, the software was an offshoot of that. It just helped manage that, and it was what I was developing internally, but it wasn't like dialed in because we were launching it as a software nationally for hundreds of people, thousands of people to use. So this I let go of because we were having scaling issues trying to manage the people, and I couldn't manage fully this and that team. So I dedicated all my time to focus on managing this, which I still would do because the software was the underlying piece, and it took off because it was a necessity and a need in the industry in general. However, what I didn't see then that I see now is that this thing, I didn't have to go and hire 4 or 5 salespeople and try to radically push it. No, I could have just kept it in like, it makes money and I don't have to focus on scaling it. We'll just let it run and manage itself, be profitable while we perfect this thing and scale it. Because once this is at scale, then it runs itself. It has all the key components that can be paid for and the people that can run it. But now we're just a customer of this product.
Right.
And this product now makes this business super
Right.
easy to scale because I actually don't need 4 or 5 people that I would have to hire trying to do them at the same time, which is why I let it go.
Well, Robert, you can't run a business without trying to scale it. I mean, let's face it.
I know that's the challenge.
That doesn't
So it probably was
exist
easier
in
to let it
our
go.
brains.
No, probably was easier to let it go. At the time, it definitely was.
So you still own the software company.
Yeah, I own 10% of the software company.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
If you don't want to answer, that's okay. And I'm only asking because I was approached by a software company 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about evaluating the business, potential, selling of the business. And I'm just like, hey, common question I ask is, what's your gross profit? What's
Yep.
your gross profit margin? Construction, you're looking at 20%, 30% if you're lucky. Home services, stuff like that, you're looking between 30. The goal is 50% if you're lucky.
Yep.
Online products, you're looking at 70, 80, 85% gross profit. He goes, are you sure? Are you ready for this? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, 97%.
Wow.
And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, that's extreme.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Are you close to that? Are you around there as a software
No,
company? Is that
we're-
typical? Is
I
that
mean,
standard?
I think typical for software companies is that they should be in the 80 to 90% range. And we were always running around there for gross profit for sure. And even on net, I think net, and you could play around with net depending on
Yeah.
where you're at in scaling,
Sure.
of course, right? But you should probably net over 40%. in a
40%?
software business. Yeah.
That's a lot of money to pay to Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said relative, but you true net minus all your EBITDA and all the other stuff, you probably should be running around 40%. Unless you're pouring it back into scale.
Oh,
or doing
minus all
something.
that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Minus all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
You should be around
Yeah.
40%,
Gotcha.
roughly. You could be more in a software business.
Yeah,
for
that's why
sure.
I don't know. I don't typically look at net just because of that, especially
Yeah.
end of the year stuff, like right
Yeah,
before
because
the
it's
year.
going to depend on a lot of things.
Yeah, dude, they're trying to save on taxes, so they're going to start
Yes.
spending all this stuff. Like that
Yes.
gross profit margin, I love that number. I'm always staring at that, pretty heavily. How much is the owner actually distributing to himself? How much of the profit he's actually making, and that's the number that the buyers really want to see.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, typically we would run between 80 and 90%.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder why anybody would get into construction. I
I
talked to these
couldn't
construction guys, and I talked to a guy recently. He's in the group as well, and I can't remember his name. He's gonna kill me if he's watching this, but he's a financial advisor. Not a financial advisor. He's like again, he's gonna kill me if he's watching this, but financial specialist, bookkeeping, and really handles a lot of the books. And his target, his only customer is the home services because they struggle so much with staying over above water. They struggle so the labor, it just kills them. The materials just kills them. And let me tell you, they don't have many other expenses, but it crushes 80% of their income.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, it is. That's not a business I would want to be in.
Right. So what are you doing now? I know what you're doing, but I wanted to hear it from you.
Yeah, so I'm writing another book.
Okay. Well, can you tell me about Focus on You?
Yeah, Focus on You is the new book.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot to do with focus.
Perfect.
But it's a little different perspective on it, meaning that the whole focus and what I have found in life and through all the ups and downs and everything has been, in my experience and in the experience of people that I've coached, is always people are seeking external validation, permission, or for answers in that way, in their business, in their marriage, and everywhere else. And I have found that every answer that you're looking for is inside. And so this internal focus on you is an internal. Reframe everything to realize that if you focus on you, the centerpiece of your marriage, the centerpiece of how you serve everyone, the centerpiece of your business, that it's in that focus on your mind, body, and spirit that everything else will rise around you.
It's the most unselfish thing you could actually do that people don't realize.
Yes.
Because if you don't focus on you, then everybody else around you suffers.
Yeah. So plain, put your oxygen mask on first. Why?
Exactly.
Because I can't help anyone if I can't first help myself. So if I'm a disaster, a chaos, and a mess, then I'm only bringing disaster, chaos, and a mess to every relationship I have. I bring it into my business, and the fruits you have in your business, the fruits you have in your marriage, in your health, everywhere are just a product of who you are.
I almost destroyed my company because of it.
I've definitely done that more than once.
I talk about lack of confidence, lack of self-awareness. I thought I was always so self-aware too until I realized, wow, holy crap, I guess I'm not. Because I wasn't listening to the inner voice as much as I should have.
Yep.
And sometimes we shouldn't listen to the inner voice, but
Of course.
I've learned to listen to my gut a lot more now, whereas opposed to, what I literally used to tell myself? I used to tell myself to go against my gut. Because there was a couple, and it's just crazy, right? But there was a couple times in my early 20s and my little initial entrepreneurial journey where I actually went against what I thought, and it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for some reason, convinced myself that I should not go with my gut. Literally, this is a thing that I told myself, Robert. Can you believe that?
I can. You got one good example.
I was like, I got like 2 good examples, and then I was like, yeah, I guess this is the way I should do it. So I literally stopped listening to my gut. I would hear the answer, and I would go the other side. That didn't work out very well.
No. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Because it's so much easier to go with your gut, fail, and just, know that you did it. Also, making a decision is another thing that I struggled with a lot, was just doing the thing and making the decision.
Yep.
Worried about the outcome. No. Like, don't worry about the outcome at all.
No, and I find that the more you reflect that internal drive, the internal instinct, listening to the voice, yes, there's a level to that, right? That's why I said spirit. You have to discern the voices. We have 50, I think it's something said that we have like 50 to 60,000 conversations a day with ourselves. Mm-hmm. So certainly there's a lot of them that are not good and not fruitful for you. You're having a conversation when you say don't listen to your gut. That's the wrong way to go, or that's the right way to go. But I'm gonna go this way because that makes more sense. Probably not this time. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, even if you fail, you probably still needed to go that way because there's something you needed to learn, a lesson that you needed to pick up that was going to ultimately get you to where you were going. That just was the next step in the road. And so, yeah, it's learning to, and I know you appreciate health, so it's, and Dan, one of my favorite things Dan says is exhaust the body to tame the mind. Mm-hmm. The more you exhaust the body, I find that the mind becomes more clear to be able to remove the fog and discern better between which voice you're supposed to listen to that's going on in that conversation in your head.
Remind me, I want to ask you about rock bottom.
Okay.
But I just want to talk about that, is that, now I've come to a point in my adult life where, like, I know I got to get up to work out in the morning. And we were just talking about waking up between 5 and 6 a.m. If you're not asleep by like 10, you're in trouble the next day. And I'm launching this new business, which is terrifying as it is at 41 years old, to be honest. But, I mean, I've got it all sort of planned out from the failures that I've had before.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff on my plate, and there's a lot of stuff that I have to do. But there's nothing more important than getting to sleep on time.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than finding 10 minutes or 30 minutes in between meetings to go into the living room and sit down on the couch for a while.
Yes.
Like, I have learned that where, yeah, there's a million things to do, but your rest is more important. Your workout in the morning is more important. Mm-hmm. And ultimately the things will get done. Like, I also tell people when I put these reports together, I said, look, it's going to take me 10 to 15 days. I can do it in 1.
Yep.
But I need to give myself enough space.
Yes.
Yeah, you believe that? You're good?
Oh,
with it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to pocket right now a very deep study of specifically on the power of rest.
Yeah.
And been led to a very specific scripture that has become a mantra lately, which
Okay.
is Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. And the main thing that has been hammered to me over and over for the last 2 months repetitively has been, can you just stay still? Can you be still and let me show you what I can do? And if peace is not at the forefront of whatever it is you're doing, so peace is my compass, has been this theme that keeps popping up for the last couple months. And so if whatever you're doing feels panicked, pressured, or, I have 24 hours to get this thing done, yeah, that ain't right. That's not peaceful. That doesn't bring peace. And then that's going to lead to the chaos and all the things that happen everywhere. And so in the last couple months, I can tell you that I've radically transformed every area of my life simply by, and it's hard. The hardest thing I've probably ever done is this pocket right now of, so sit and be quiet and do nothing. But I have 100 things I could do. Do nothing. Okay. I'm going to do that. And interestingly enough, doors are opening that I never saw opening. Things are coming my way that are like, wow. Decisions are being made that are very, there's a lot going on in my life. And at the same time, all of it is extremely peaceful. None of it is panicked or rushed. All of it is like, the best way I can say is it's like divinely lining itself up because I am so focused on just being still.
You have a major sense of peace. I will tell you that. From the
this is
second I
new.
saw you. It's new?
I would say newer. I very much come from I'm born and raised in Metro Detroit, so I very much come from the hustle and grind, your way to everything.
I wasn't
Which
expecting
was
this, to
all
be
those
honest.
businesses.
This is the first time you and I meet. I wasn't expecting such a peaceful person.
I
was expecting an angry person, but like the
No.
beard, the hair,
Yeah.
the look that I saw on social media is
Yep.
not the person I was expecting.
I've had even people close to me in my coaching environment and other things that have said something has changed in the last couple months specifically. Now I document very fully on the back end everything that I'm doing, every conversation I have every morning, and what that is looking like. And when I tell you that everything in my life is transformed, and this piece is within the last 2 months,
So what?
it's been a radical shift.
So what happened?
I mean, it's this mantra. It's this God bringing me to my knees essentially and saying, hey, I'm going to need you to relax. I'm going to need you to slow down, and I'm going to need you to just focus. So I literally, my daily routine is I get up and I pray. I go into scripture very first thing. I spend 10, 15 minutes doing that before I go to the gym. I go to the gym and I go do what I call a walk and talk with God. My rhythm right now that has brought all of this peace is that prayer is the one thing that's changed everything for me. Whatever he downloads, whatever he tells me, it's all documented, and it's usually me just airing out everything I'm feeling.
Be still and know that I am God.
That has been the clarity that has come back in the return. Some of the answer of like, I'm just going to need you to do this. Okay, but I have 100 things I could do, and this business isn't going to go here, and this one's got to do this, and this got to do this. Slow down. Relax. You sound panicked and pressured. Okay, and something shifted. And in writing the book, part of it is because I'm in the book, there's the chapters are writing themselves. It's very interesting. The first book I wrote, I knew exactly what I was writing, how I wanted to write it. It got formatted differently to fit what ended up coming out. This one's radically different. This one has been almost a year-long project, and it has shifted completely with this new rhythm. All of it came out, and then analyzing a lot of stuff using AI to analyze a lot of previous journals I've done have shown that the pattern's always been there. I was moving too fast, and so I wasn't recognizing it. And now that I'm recognizing it, my marriage is improving, my relationship with my child is improving. Like, I'm just calmer in everything.
But there's always something.
There is.
What is the thing? What is the moment? And it's usually a negative, something bad that happened.
Yeah.
What's the moment? What was it
So
that caused you to write the book? That ultimately caused you to get this mindset?
Yeah, the biggest negative that happened in my life that is, I think, the catalyst that have led to where I'm at over the last few years has been, I will briefly mention again, the lawsuit is a tentative word, but merged with a company to take our company to a 9-figure exit was the goal. And we instantly would be an 8-figure company in the merger, so we merged. there was a moment in that through COVID and beyond that then turned into a year-long legal structure. So I went from a mountaintop of I have everything and not listening to advisors around me at the time of don't do this merger. I said, but we can 10X like right now through this merger. I didn't see the red flags. They did. Till
You saw
after.
them. You knew they were there.
I did. That's
You
the
didn't trust
truth.
your gut.
The truth is I knew it and I walked right into it and I could tell myself why I wanted to do it for the people around me. And that it was just the comfort and ease of like my ego, really, in hindsight, my ego said, I'm here, but I could be there right now. And then that opened a massive amount of things. And then when it went left, and then everything for 3 years, almost in a row, have led me to my knees of losing everything, filing bankruptcies, fighting a foreclosure battle for 2 years on a multi-million-dollar property we bought. As a result of this merger, I have way more assets to basically being stripped of all of it. And the interesting thing in that, and the pivot point that shifted this year, so the massive pivot, the positive to that was full circle. I had hired at the time that I thought the merger before it went into a lawsuit was actually going to turn into a buyout. We had discussed one for 4 months. We had valuations done. We had all this stuff done, and I had the backing to do it and hired a coach to align their product with ours. I was going to 10X where we were at with what I had, and that didn't happen because it turned into I've decided not to sell. And in fact, I have way more money than you. He didn't say this, but in hindsight, I'm going to bankrupt you into taking everything. And so that's what started the legal battle. And then I had a $250,000 coach to grow. And at the same token, turned into you can no longer get paid. You're going to need about 20 grand a month in lawyer retainers to fight me because he's really smart at business. And so I had to fight Delaware law, Florida law,
Holy
business
crap.
law, and get a depth of legal structure that I just didn't understand at the time compared to the partner I had. But it was his motive all along. His motive in partnering with a software company. They had a done for you service product, but they didn't have software. They were on some other software, so I didn't know, and what everyone else knew, this part I didn't know, was that that's all his motive was. So he was very much stroking my ego into why we were a great merger. Underneath that was all he cared about was getting the software because he had tried to exit his company for an entire year prior to. I didn't have knowledge of that, and they couldn't exit because their business had no value without owning any of the IP or software underneath it.
Which you had.
Yes. So when they merged, they didn't have to build it. They didn't have to spend $1 million. They instantly got it. And then when I wasn't seeing eye to eye then with no more, he wanted all the money he wanted, which it wasn't worth that for what the buyout was. And once that was structured, it was like, yeah, I'm not doing the deal. So that was the big negative. The big positive was full circle, that same coach who walked me through all of that. Like I went through a very bad time for a year going through all that. Eventually I got the software back. He got his business back and he sold what he could because they they were required to white label our software to even run after. A year ago, it was last summer where the book idea came out. Full circle, that same mentor came back around, had an elite mastermind for just men and was like, I think you might be ready now. It's been a couple years. I said, I think you're right. And he introduced this process of word, wisdom, work, wealth. And so for him, he had gotten to a place of saying, hey, I've just learned and been hammered down to like, you got to get into God's word. His word will give you his wisdom. He will tell you what work to do and you will be wealthy. Now, that's his path. But the thing was that opened a door to a process of getting the Bible every single day. And I went 120 straight days digesting a verse and talking to God about what are you trying to tell me about this verse. That wasn't the shift, though, although it was the shift. The idea of Focus IU came on, but there was still this hustle mindset that I had because I was building a coaching business, too, at the time. And so I had coaching students, I was teaching them everything, and I instantly heard the idea of the book, Focus on You, Mind, Body, Spirit. Sounds like the Holy Trinity. That's exactly what this book is going to be. Cool. We're going to launch this in a couple weeks. We're going to put a mastermind with it. We're going to launch it in December. I got into I was on Alex Hormozi's school, got invited into a program called the 100, which is a little private group of 100 people that get all the blueprints of underneath that, like this is it. All this comes together, doing this Bible stacking. Then I started doing what I do. I flew out to Utah. I shot all these videos, salesumentary stuff, got all of it orchestrated, and then fell off of my stacking process. And I came back and I was like, something's off. And then I went for another couple walks and was like, I just heard, you're not launching a book. You're not launching a mastermind. You're not doing any of that. Stop all of this. I was like, okay, now I'm thoroughly confused. And so from December to April, I just kind of wandered. There was an eye-opening part because in the mastermind, we went to Miami at the 10X headquarters, which was really cool to see that from a business perspective. But that was like an eye-opening thing. That's when I said I had to make a massive shift because in the room, they made us all take our shirts off. Room full of dudes. And he's like, take your shirt off, everyone. Let's expose who you really are. Because you can lie about your business, you can lie about your marriage, you can lie on social media about how great you are. But the one thing you cannot hide is what your body looks like. Your body says how disciplined you are, how you operate, and how you show up. And it carries everywhere. And for me, that was cementing in what I already knew in the book too, because body was a main component. I already dropped 40 pounds at that point. But that was like a wake-up call of like, you know what? And then I felt it again, like, you need to reach out to your friend, the gym guy, the NFL buddy. And I was like, I need a radical shift. What I'm doing isn't working for me. It's working. I'm getting results. I'm getting results the way that I've always gotten results. And I was about to go launch 3 more things because I know exactly, I have the whole blueprint for this. This is going to work. No, none of it. You need to just focus on, you need to be the book. Is basically the message I got. You need to focus on you, just you. And so that literally, I started getting up at 4:15 in the morning, which I don't do. Now I'm close to that. But that led to I'm being the book. And then in that, the positive was God's voice in my own head, whatever you want to believe in, is documented in saying, okay, you're here now and you're ready. And then in writing chapter 3 of the book, I specifically was brought to tears in a moment that kind of was eye-opening. And at the time, I started letting go. Like, we have a multi-million-dollar house that we were battling a foreclosure out, and he basically said, let it go. We're done. The house was there to teach you something. That's nothing more, nothing less. It's time to let it go. So, okay, we're done. We're literally, and then it all worked out. We never got, no foreclosure. The house is for sale. We'll probably net hundreds of thousands off of selling the house as is, finishing nothing, doing nothing. A door open for a new house we want to move into. We move in on July 1st, so we're actually moving back to Wesley Chapel.
Oh, a little further away.
Yeah, a little bit. But right down 54,
Yeah.
so probably close enough, but yeah.
There's a lot to
And I became the
unpack
book. There is. I just started becoming the book. And so now the book is writing itself as I continue to become components of what's in the book. Is the simplest way.
Have
to
you
say
read
it.
The Surrender Experiment?
No, I have not.
What? By Michael Singer?
No.
Oh, dude, get that in your life.
definitely getting that.
right now. Yes, you need that in your life.
Yes.
It's one of the most amazing books.
Just the title alone feels like what I'm going through.
And he's
I've
kind of a hippie and, very, no, he's more like a yogi, meditates a lot
Yep.
and just goes out into the wilderness and basically lives on his own. And I mean, long story short, he becomes a multi-millionaire. And literally the whole concept of the book is letting go.
Yeah.
Just letting it happen.
It is an interesting.
And he goes through the entire freaking path of every big thing that happened in his life. And it was always him just self-reflecting and just let it go. Let it happen. Like, just surrender. You'll like that one.
I will a lot.
Okay. I don't even know where to start here. That was pretty in-depth. So you had the debacle with the software company, but you were still able to exit, and like even with the lawsuit and everything, like you seem to still have you came out okay from it. Like you weren't, like it didn't just totally debilitate you either, because right after you went off to the races, it seems like.
Well, I was definitely debilitated financially.
Right.
Mentally too. I've still.
How did you have the energy to just, because then you went off to the whole Hormozy thing and launching the book and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, that happened.
What was the motivation
after
there?
letting go of the software company? So that was part of letting go of the software company. None of that that all happened last year.
Yeah.
And then I didn't launch any of it. I do have a coaching
But how did you
group.
have the energy to do that after going through all that shit?
I let go of the software company. Truthfully, that was the main catalyst. There was so once I got it, I was super excited, kind of, but I was also not excited because
Once you got what?
the software company back. So I got all my IP back. I owned all the rights to the company. They got to keep all their services clients. The negative within all of it is to get the deal finished and to stop the legal battle, I just took on all of the company's debt and absolved them of all of it. And then the other negative to it was that they got the majority of revenue because while we were merged, a lot of the focus was how to upgrade software clients to done-for-you service clients. So the deal where all of those were their clients. And they had to white label our software, which was okay. But it also meant that I was back to pre-merger stage revenue and profits. Like I spent the last 3 years getting nowhere other than learning a lot. So I didn't get nowhere. And yeah, it was very draining. So in that year, we tried to scale that and take off and nothing worked. Like we just failed in every turn. Like things would work and then let me go pour $100,000 into that marketing because that worked. Okay, why didn't it work when we poured money into it? Shit, that's not part of the plan. And then I found out more things unfolded. I found out my CTO of 8 years was actually a problem and probably caused a lot of the stuff underneath, and some stuff came to surface, so I had to fire him. I'm not a coder, so when that moment happened, that was I'm done. I spent the next 8 months trying to find a way to exit the software business. But I wanted a strategic exit because I knew that if somebody could just take it over and start growing, I just didn't have the energy. I blatantly was like, I don't have the energy to scale this thing anymore, to your point and question. I was done. I was physically, mentally, spiritually drained. And then finally, the guy that was like, yeah, I'll buy that, but you have to stay on. Like, okay, cool. That's a perfect scenario for me.
Perfect. At like a minimum of like,
I'll
minimum
like,
responsibility.
Yes, I don't have to do
that.
things,
Right.
but I still have ownership.
So you still have some now today.
Yeah, and so I can do something with it. And now full circle to where I'm at. Now I have totally different energy. So it's interesting how it's played out.
I think people underestimate the difficulty. I think we live in this social media world. We see all these people who are so successful and multimillionaires and all this stuff. And it's like, that's almost like a professional athlete where it's like the less than 1%. It's the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
Where like, your kid's an athlete and deep inside that the chances of him becoming a professional athlete are slim to none, not because he's not capable, just because that's just what the odds are.
Yep.
And I've started to feel it's kind of the same way with that uber crazy success that we see on social media every freaking stroll that we go, that everybody's successful. And I mean, I really admire you thank you so much for telling that story, because it's like you've been there, but then it crashed, and you've been there, and it's crashed, and it's almost that to me that's more valuable than the person who I saw. That kid who interviews all the.
Oh yeah, most successful people, and what'd you do to get that? Yeah,
he did Morgan and Morgan. He did John Morgan the other day.
Wow.
And John Morgan was straight up. He was just like luck, a lot of luck. Now, I don't believe in that either.
No.
I do think that, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. But, things got to go your way sometimes, man.
They do. They do. When they're not going your way, they're not going your way. That's just, I've experienced that too. I recently had a friend investor who was like, dude, you're the most persistent, consistent person I know. And yet for the last 3 years, it seems like nothing has went right for you. And he's literally saying, I can't even comprehend how that's possible. Yeah, me neither. But here's where we are now, and here's where we're going next. And he's like, how can you possibly have faith that that's what's going? Because now I'm in a totally different pocket, and I see what I didn't see.
They say, I mean, obviously, it's how quick you could bounce back up. Yeah. I love one of my favorite scenes in almost any movie, which really wasn't that great of a movie, but Rocky V, when he's talking with his kid. It's like it's about getting hit, getting knocked down,
getting back up.
And it's true. You just got to keep. Keep getting back up until
get knocked down 7, get up 8.
Yeah.
You got to. What's Mike Tyson? You got a plan, and someone punches you in the mouth.
Until somebody punches you in the mouth.
What's now? What you're gonna do?
My coach used to tell me. I played college tennis, and my coach used to tell me that the definition of being in great shape, it's not so much how long you last without getting tired. It's how quick you recover after you're tired. So like when you take that 90-second break in between games in tennis, like you want to be at 100%, not still gassed from the previous time, or because tennis is just a lot of short sprints, and you've got, I think it's literally 30 seconds in between points. So it's the recovery, it's the recovery, it's the recovery. But the same could be said about adversity and just really shitty times.
It is. How long are you going to stay in we talk a lot about this in my coaching environment because people are like, I have this and this and this. I'm like, well, how long are you going to keep saying all that? Because the longer you keep saying all that, the longer you're going to sit in that misery pocket, or you could just let it go and start coming over here. Mm-hmm. Whether it's true or not, the only thing making it true or not is you saying it's true or not.
Man, this is awesome, Robert. Wow. You've got a few things here. You've got the U Foundation. We've talked about your book. We can talk about the U Foundation, but you also have, you talk about your business isn't broken, you're distracted. You said the root cause of chaos in business is misalignment with identity. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I think that we get torn off of course by all these distractions, and because we seek, and I'll use, as you say, social media, have all this stuff on social media that then distracts and distorts what we think our identity is, and we end up in this cycle of seeking external validation and permission to be something because of our fear of shame, guilt, or whatever, or if I don't succeed, right, then I'm whatever. And that's all a false identity. It's a false narrative. It's a false story. And the truth is you were created for greatness. The truth is you were made to have dominion and multiply in every capacity. And you, every single you in the world has a unique skill and talent that is theirs, that if they can tap inside and listen to that, they'll do it. And most of it is because they hear their intuitive voice, right? And then they doubt. And they don't act on it. And one of my favorite books is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, especially on Audible. But essentially all he's doing is saying exactly this, that it doesn't matter if you believe in the devil or any of that. It's just it's that voice, that doubt voice of like, hey, I think I can be great and do this thing and take off. And then this little doubt comes in. Yeah, exactly. You're not good enough for that. Yes. You won't succeed. No one loves you. You're not worthy of that. Why would you think you could do that? Okay, I'm not. And so in the book, the dynamic is all about all he says over and over and over and over again is that the devil's only thing that he needs to do to beat you is to get you to drift. Yes. Well, how's he get you to drift? Doubt yourself for a moment. That moment turns into weeks, years of you being out of alignment with your identity. And your identity is that voice that tells you those powerful things about you. And yes, you and I have both experienced that powerful voice will lead to things that fail. However, I believe those things that fail are you taking that action and that step and training that muscle in you is who you are. And that failure is a lesson that you needed to develop the character for the success that is coming to you. It's just a stepping stone. And if I love, there's someone said, if God told Joseph, there's a great story of Joseph in the Bible, and if God told Joseph in the beginning when he had his dream that he was going to be the right-hand man to the throne and rule all of this land, he likes the vision, he wants it, he wants to achieve it. However, if he told him that he'd be in prison, he'd be sold, he'd be faked his death, and all the things that happened to him before that ever happened, like 30 years later, he'd have said, you can keep the vision. I don't want anything to do with the vision because I do not want the road that's going to get me there. And I think that's entrepreneurship. The road that's going to get you to where you want, you had a vision, you have a thing, but you could get there.
It gets hard.
The road is not going to go the way you think it is at all. It's not going to be, and that's why we doubt, right? Oh, well, then I don't want to do it. But just do this one little thing, and then this one little thing, and some will work, some won't, but you'll get there.
I love the Outwitting the Devil. That's awesome. I was listening. So my rock bottom, I almost go bankrupt, and my wife, I had my Venmo. Was it Venmo? Yeah, my Venmo account got hacked, and like $7,000 was like taken away. But why is $7,000 sitting in my Venmo? Like, what do you do when somebody pays you Venmo? What do? You transfer it to your bank account. Transfer it to my bank account. I forgot that it was there. Three clients had paid, and I just forgot because I was so scatterbrained all over the place. My wife looks at me with this face. She's like, you and I need to go see a therapist. And I said, no, not you. I need to go see a therapist. So in this process of therapy, I'm scrolling through social media, and I had gone to a conference, and Andy Elliott spoke at the conference, but I didn't get a chance to see him. And then the guy who did the conference actually posted it on like, he sent it to an email for all the people that attended. And I watched it, and my aha another awakening moment was in his speech. He talks about just that. He talks about the fucking devil that's right there, that's saying all that negative shit, that you're not capable and you can't do this and you can't do that. And that, I literally was watching it. Freaking Andy Elliott, he's great, right? But like, I almost like started just like crying and just like, holy shit, that's it. Like, that's it. It's this, that just, I shouldn't even be believing in it. Like, I just totally I'm all in on what the negativity is. When I realized that, when that came into fruition, it was just like, okay, now at least, I mean, it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. That's just the challenge of life. But to be aware of it every single time that thing creeps in, it's just like, nope, go in through one ear and out the other.
Exactly.
But that was like, I even went back at the next week's therapy session. I'm like, this just like did. And I showed her the video and everything. She's like, that's awesome. And then, you know, asking, what makes you feel that way?
Yep. Yes.
But no, it was good. It was a really good, that you mentioned that. I just thought about that moment sitting on my couch. I just remember watching it. I was just like, fuck.
Mm-hmm. He's good. He's powerful.
He is pretty powerful. What is kingdom business?
So kingdom business is just operating in the benefit of other people, right? So kingdom is, a lot of people get stuck in religion when it comes to the Bible. I don't believe in religion as a real thing, but I don't believe religion was ever the purpose of the Bible. I think if you really read the Bible for yourself, it's a kingdom blueprint. Kingdom, right? It's an empire. There's a kingdom. There's an orchestration, and everything serves everything. I think that's what we're meant to do. And so that's what I think kingdom business is, operating a business that serves people from a place of love and grace, and is 100%. So people throw around coin phrases, so I hate using these words anymore, but integrity and honor, and, you know, but so many people say them, and what they live is the opposite of that. So a kingdom business just lives that way. Like, it is that. There is no ambiguity in what that is.
You say that the next wave of entrepreneurs won't just sell products, they'll stand for something eternal.
Yes. Yeah, I think that they'll get clear with what their identity is internal. They'll get clear about what their mission and purpose is in life, and they'll serve people from a place of truth, love, and grace, joy, and all of those things, not the fakeness that everyone's after right now.
Why do you think that? Like, what do you think has changed?
I think AI is going to massively orchestrate that.
Really?
I think AI is amazing, and I love AI. I also think on the flip side of that, it is like going to rapidly advance good and bad. And so meaning people who are going to use it for good, for purpose and eternal alignment, they're going to grow and blossom. You're going to find a lot more bad who find a lazy approach, in my opinion, like, write all my content for me, but they didn't teach it anything or understand that there's no training.
It after it was done.
No, they just put it out, and so they're going to have mass production of garbage and stuff that doesn't serve anyone, that doesn't help anyone. And so in that, I think over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to watch a lot of people wanting real authenticity and real human interaction, because they're just going to not know what truth is anymore. And so it's going to create this cloud of like, oh my God, you're seeing 50 things. They must all be true because it's on social media. So of course it must be true. Someone has all this stuff. It's all made up. So they're going to seek real people. And you're going to know, you're going to start to feel. I think more people are going to awaken to the fact of feeling what's true and what's not. And I think that that's just going to fast track it.
Well, I hate to tell you, my favorite TikTok account is Holy Vlogs. Have you seen it?
No.
It's totally AI generated.
I believe it. Dude, I love AI.
The AI accounts are some of my favorite right now. They're fucking hilarious.
Yeah, some people can do really, really good stuff with it.
Holy Vlogs is
I'm gonna check that out now.
Dude, it's so good. They go back to like the stories. Like there's this one on David and Goliath, and it's Goliath like waiting, and he's like, yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to come fight me here, and they're like all selfie style, like, hey, what BRB, and like it's so funny. You have to see it.
I will definitely gotta go
good.
watch that. I would like that a lot.
Robert, honestly, I mean, I think I'm gonna have to start booking 2 hours. Because I could literally go on with you forever. Like I really would love to, but you know we're set to a time. I don't want to hold these guys up here. But yeah. Robert, dude, thanks so much for coming on. Before we get off though, tell me, like, you're here now. You've been through everything you've been through. You're in the middle of this book. What's next? What's the next 3 years here? What does it look like for Robert?
Yeah, it's finally taking all those things I sold, piecemeal, got back full circle to where I am, that the book is it. focus on you. It's training other people to be able to do the same thing for themselves. On top of that, we're building a kingdom-based business in real estate, which I think is a massive need in the real estate component. It's called You Pay Zero. It's a brand I created over a decade ago, but I held on to when I was selling all the other things. And it's got AI as the foundation underneath it so that we can orchestrate very truthful, methodically ran business that can't be ran outside of the parameters of what a kingdom business does, because we'll control all the variables. So over the next 3 years, we're going to blow that up.
Nice.
It's going to take off.
We didn't even talk about that.
No, we've been silently building a lot of it in preparation. We're like a week or two away of, like, we've launched, we're out, we do business, but we've been building something underneath.
Well, you and I are in a very similar space or time in our life where I've taken these last 16 years of successes and ultimate wrecks. And yeah, I've got this new thing that I'm launching too, and I feel like it's done already. It's not done, but it's like done.
Yes.
Like I've got literally the entire next 10 years like already laid out, and it's like done. That's the other thing that I wanted to get into, but it's like it's also it's the devil that you have to be aware of. But then it's also, for me, what's really helped is already seeing everything. Like I already know like I expect it. Like Dan says, sense it, desire it, and expect it. Like I already expect all of these things to happen, like the entire roadmap. And I know that you see that too.
Oh yeah, I've declared, wrote out our 5-year roadmap this last week with, this is declared.
I love this. Do you write
we're just going to walk it out.
Did you write the story of you having already accomplished it?
I haven't wrote a story to it, but I like that. I'm in the process of breaking it all down now and putting it all into formatted writing, but we had our in-person annual meeting to start the grounds of, all right, here's what we're about to build for the next 5 years.
Nice, man.
Because we got these pieces that have now come into play, so they're like, we should be able to launch them in the next week. And
well, one thing I'm doing is building relationships with just good people, especially business people. So anything that I can do to help, I mean, honestly, I'm here.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and we're gonna do the. You just actually reminded me. I did it last month. This month I took off, but July we're gonna do the founders dinner. Jeremy's gonna be there, so we'll get that set up.
Yeah, I'm definitely in for that.
Yeah, cool.
I wish I could have made the Orlando one too, but
it's all right.
It didn't work out.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I believe it.
All right, Robert. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.